Hi, I'm Jacob Gallucci, and today I'd like to talk about my life at UIC. I went to college at UIC, that's the University of Illinois at Chicago. I went there from the fall of 2006 until, until the spring of 2008. So it was my freshman and sophomore year, and it was not a good experience. I'll explain more here. In my junior year of high school at St. Ignatius, I decided on which colleges I wanted to attend. I ended up picking UIC and DePaul, and between those two, I chose UIC. Well, mainly because it was closer to home. I've lived near UIC my whole life, and well, UIC is a public school, and DePaul's a Catholic school. And after going through St. Ignatius for 4 years, I was just tired of the Catholic education. I wanted to go back to a public school. So that's why I ended up choosing UIC, and my major at UIC was history, and that was such a dumb thing to major in, but I liked history at the time, and I wish I had majored in something else. You know, like communications would have been fun, but I actually wrote a review on Yelp about my time at UIC. I wrote it back on February 6th of this year, and I'll read it to you right now. I went to UIC from the fall of 2006 to the spring of 2008. I was a history major. My experience at the school was terrible. The lecture halls were way too big, and most of the classes I had way too many people in them. Many of the classes I took there were such a waste of time. Most of the teachers I had weren't very good, and a majority of the TAs I had were bad. I wasted 2 years of my life at this place. I transferred to Columbia College, Chicago, and I went there from the fall of 2008 to the fall of 2010. My experience at Columbia College was much better than my time at UIC ever was. UIC it was a mess. Like I said in the review, the lecture halls were way too big, and the lecture halls had way too many people in them. It was too chaotic, and there were too many people, and the teachers weren't very good, and the TAs were just a couple of the ones I had, you know, they barely spoke English, and some of the classes I took were such a waste of time. I learned almost nothing in a couple of them. Some of the classes I had, I was relearning stuff I had already learned in high school, so it was just a complete waste of time. And I learned this many years ago, but as a joke, UIC actually stands for the University of Indians and Chinese. I heard that many years ago, and it's wrong. It's kind of funny, but it's wrong too, because UIC is very diverse. It's a lot more diverse than St. Ignatius was. UIC has a good mix of whites, blacks, Hispanics, Asians, and Middle Eastern students as well. And the campus is at a good location, and you know, it's easy to get around, I would say, but the buildings are really confusing, and the configuration of some of the buildings is just so messed up. Like BSB, that's the Behavioral Sciences building at Harrison and Morgan. And Morgan, the design of that building is just so messed up. You'll easily get lost in that building. It's just so confusing in there. And the Science and Engineering office, that building's so hard to get around too. And the design of the campus is confusing, but in more recent years they've added new buildings, and the buildings look more modern. When the UIC first came in the mid-60s, and a lot of the buildings the design was pretty bad, but the design now, I think the newer buildings, the design's a lot better, definitely. And I didn't really get to know too many people there, and well, the people I did get to know, they were nice and friendly and all, but I actually spent more time hanging out with people from high school back then than I did with people from UIC. It's true. And I wanted to get out of UIC. I was unhappy, and it got to the point where I was starting to ditch classes at UIC. And I had never ditched classes before in my life. That's how much I hated it at UIC. I was ditching classes like nearly every day. I was just unhappy, and I wasn't learning anything. I was just fed up with it, and I wanted to get out of there so badly, and I did. I transferred to Columbia College Chicago in the fall of 2008, and my time at Columbia was a lot better than my time at UIC. And I'll talk more about my time at Columbia College Chicago next week, and it's a lot more fun than my time at UIC, and I'll share it with you next Friday. And anyway, I'll be back tomorrow with 2 new videos, and until then, take care.